Hello, YouTube world. I apologize for the poor quality of this footage as my laptop is refurbished. My cell phone definitely does a better job, so maybe I should record with my cell phone next time. Um, so I'm going to talk about some personal experiences, and I'm also just going to continue to talk about the concerns I have about this country and just stuff that's happening in general. And I'm going to continue to do this even if my videos only get 5 views. I don't get disheartened when my videos only get 5 views because this channel is new and it has not been advertised or anything. So I don't know even know how people would find it, but maybe because I have 4 subscribers. I don't know. And they watch it. All 4 of my subscribers watch the videos. I don't know, but it's healing for me to be able to talk about these things. And I hope that um, something I provide will be of value. And I also hope that it will inspire other people to speak up when something's just not right. I can understand why a lot of people don't watch my videos. I was watching a cooking video I did on how to make fried chicken, and it was so long and drawn out. It was pretty awful. But it made me quite sad to also see that video because at that time I lived in a very, very posh, beautiful apartment in Beverly, Massachusetts. And it just made me very sad because that's not my reality now. I'm living in a shitty apartment that's even more expensive than the one that I lived in then, or maybe they're the same price. But that was the one of the most beautiful apartments I ever lived in, and I used to walk to the beach, and I loved living there. Yeah, I don't want to think about that. It's very sad. Don't want to get into my personal life, but I really, really miss living in New England a lot. I've really struggled here. It's like the past 3 years have been very hard. So anyway, I continue to have, and I have had concerns for a long time. Um, I have personal experience with security incidents that are very concerning. I, when I was living in Austin, and I wrote a book called Gypsy, and it had been published on Facebook. And at that time, I was a socialist, very liberal. Now I'm middle of the road. I do not consider myself. I am not a socialist. I'm an independent, almost more libertarian. I don't know if I would say I'm libertarian, but definitely not a socialist. I can understand why people gravitate towards that. You know, you want there to be more like economic equitability. I don't even know if I said that right, but it definitely seems wrong when you have the 1%ers and then everyone else is struggling. It doesn't seem very fair. But at the same time, I see the dangers in the push for this socialist regime happening in this country, where they just bulldoze and manipulate and bully. And if you're not leftist enough, you get bullied beyond belief. And I have seen this. I mean, I can go back and give you so many examples. If you don't go along with the leftist cult regime, your life will be you will be put through hell. So I think the left and the right are actually both capable of that kind of bullying and those tactics, but I have experienced it firsthand. As a former socialist, so basically, to make a long story short, I put out a book, Gypsy, that definitely had some socialist ideas about it. I didn't really know what the hell I was doing. I was 25. Um, I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't really know what I was trying to do. But the book got a lot of attention. A hacker friend of mine was actually using that content for his own purpose and because he's very politically motivated. And um, so he was taking that content, and to this day, he believes that it's his content, that he helped write it. He did not help write it. He inspired me with the ideas, yes, but he did not actually write it. I wrote the whole damn book. But anyway, now I don't even stand by that book. I think it's yeah, I think that it made some of my childhood friends look bad that didn't deserve that, and then now we're not really friends anymore. I think it caused a lot of problems. So it's crazy. Like, I'm not even proud anymore of something I created. I think it was shitty. But anyway, so basically the book what people don't know what happened with that book is it got really popular because of this hacker and this other guy I knew from high school. It like blew up on the internet and stuff. And there are all these followers and stuff. But I wasn't seeing all those followers because like on my end, on my MySpace account, I would see like 50 followers. But then somehow I'd be like walking in the grocery store or going to work and like all these people like knew about my book. So it was like somewhere else that my content was going where all these people like found out about it or whatever. But on my channel, on MySpace, I only would see like that I got 50 to 100 views. So it was very confusing. But anyway, basically no one's going to believe me if I tell you this. But there started to be some chaos because there was a guy named Brian and there was a guy named Diego, and it started to be like this competition. Who's she going to bang, right? Because in the story of Gypsy, she dated a guy named Sam, but then she still had a friend named Reggie that she had feelings for. And maybe those characters were loosely based off of these guys from high school. Interestingly, the thing is, those guys from high school are also the same guys that had me, were part of a plan where I was actually assaulted, but I blocked it out. So I got assaulted by these dudes and blocked it out, became friends with them, and then I'm writing like a propaganda book. I mean, this, you can't make this shit up. So basically, if I told you what really happened, I don't even want to say, because you will think I'm a flat earther conspiracy theorist. But all I'm going to say, because no one would believe me if I said exactly what happened, is through a channel from a very important individual, I was asked to shut the book down because it's starting to cause chaos. For example, because people are like, they love Sam. People threw stuff at me when I was ice skating in Austin because they were mad at me that I was going to choose Reggie and not Sam. And it became like this like war. It was actually creating like havoc. Like it started to create problems. And I mean, I knew it was a problem when someone threw something at me when I was ice skating. That was like, whoa, this is getting really serious. So I shut it down and I made the story. She goes home. Her home is Reggie. I made that up. That wasn't my real life. I just shut it down and I had a closure for it. And things were all good and dandy at first. And then when I didn't actually bang Brian or Diego, they were like, you're a liar. You didn't deliver. And then the attacks came. Then I was falsely accused of being a terrorist. I was falsely accused of being a lesbian. I was called a porn star. I mean, the internet trolls wreaked havoc on my life. And the terrorist thing stuck. And I lost my job because they were even mad at me. I didn't choose Sam. Oh, I didn't choose Sam. Who's Brian? Wait, Brian's behind me getting assaulted in high school, folks. It's time to wake up. So I got fired from my job. Well, laid off. I got a severance package, and I'm waiting tables at BD Riley's on 6th Street, which is near the Capitol, down the street from the Capitol. Let me just emphasize that. I was working at an Irish bar down the Capitol. I'm emphasizing that so you will understand the significance of this. And then I'm being falsely accused of being a terrorist. And even a frat boy calls me a terrorist. And then some chick who is a hipster that went to Harvard and dropped out of Harvard temporarily and was living in Austin wore a shirt that said like, boom, like there's a bomb. Like, I mean, the cultist leftists, not all lefties are in a cult, but this cult that had originally followed Gypsy and then I let them down by not delivering, turned on me, and I'm now a terrorist, according to them. Well, then actual terrorists tried to recruit me. And if you think I'm making that up, I will be very specific if you like. It started out where they would come into the bar and they requested me as a waiter. And then at one point, I knew something was off because they would watch me very carefully. They were like studying me. And then when I knew that something was really wrong, an individual, and I think he was a UT student, I don't want to say which country he was from, but that I believe he was from, but he asked to order a drink. And he said, "Can I get a raging Nazi?" And I'm like, "What?" So he was like trying to test me out. Like, there's no drink called Raging Nazi that I'm aware of. So then what I did, because I was not going to go to the bartenders and be like, "Can I get a Raging Nazi?" And I said, "Can you tell me what's in that drink? Because I don't, I haven't, I was like, I don't know the ingredients in that drink." Oh, he's like, "Oh, it's Goldschlager and something else." I was like, okay. So I went to the bartender. I'm like, "I don't know the name of this drink. It has Goldschlager in this. Can you make that?" They're like, "Sure." So I got around having to go to the bartender, and the bar was already suspicious of me and saying Raging Nazi. Thank God. So anyway, a series of other things happened. There was an investigation, and I ended up leaving. Things got so scary, I actually had to leave, and I went back to Houston. But to make a long story short, a rumor because of a book I wrote changed my life forever. And it also made me realize that I'm not a part of this socialist club. Like this is not for me. This is just not for me. And it was just the hypocrisy, the lies, the bullying, the manipulation. And that happens on both sides. That happens on both sides. So I don't like that either side's like these massive attacks. Like it's just creates, I feel like it's something else is pushing it to divide us, to create division. Like it's a tactic, rile up the right, rile up the left, and then they'll attack each other. I think it's a strategy. But going through that experience fundamentally changed my life. And it really made me really want to think about things differently, get different perspectives. I also took criminal justice classes. That was fantastic to raise my GPA. Got a master's degree, worked really hard. At one point, I was working 3 jobs, really, because my whole life got destroyed. Couldn't get a job because I had been accused of being an arsonist and a terrorist and a hooker and a porn star. I mean, these boys have such fragile egos because I won't bang them. They will literally spew out this garbage, and they're doing the same shit all over again here in DC. It's even more concerning because now we're in DC. It was concerning that this happened in Austin when you have radical people approaching me, and we're down the street from the capital of Texas. Like, anyway, it was that whole situation. Still have PTSD from, but it gave me an interest. I'm like, whoa, this stuff is really, I want to learn about intelligence. I want to be part of it. And I wanted to work for the FBI. I almost made it. I passed the initial screening, passed the test, and then I didn't get the email for the meet and greet, and then I aged out, so I became disqualified. So I dedicated my life to it. I'm like, holy blank, I now know what I want to do with my life. I want to do this intelligence stuff. This is what I want. Didn't exactly work out that way, but I got to do other stuff as a technical writer that are tied to security, which have been super cool, like working for US Capitol Police, doing contract with the Air Force. Did work with Raytheon. That I'm not really supposed to talk about, but that was not, I didn't really feel like that was an intelligence role. That was more like tied to intelligence in any way. That was more like editing their policies. But I'm afraid to talk about that because that was very concerning. But anyway, I've had many experiences that have really made me super concerned. And it's very concerning what recently happened in New York with the cell phones and the instances where there could have been a massive, I think you could call it a cyber attack during a UN assembly. I mean, this shit is getting insane. So I know there's a lot of people that hate me because I'm no longer the lefty, super liberal person I was, but I have seen too much. And I think if any of those super lefty liberals dealt with what I dealt with, they might think about seeing a different perspective. That's how it can change you. When you're like, whoa, I have to shut this book down because it's causing a disruption. It's causing a problem. These thugs are using it for their own little political bullshit, and then they're gonna attack me with lies, and then that's gonna be something tied to national security. Like, this is getting huge. So I encourage anyone who's been under attack psychologically, physically, mentally, on social media, whatever, to stand up for yourself. And also, I'll have to apologize because I have definitely overshared on social media and Facebook, and that has probably caused damage to some people's lives. I could have definitely refrained from sharing certain things. But there's certain things I'm going to continue to share because some of these individuals will not leave me alone. Past 3 years of my life have been hell. So the more that they attack me, though, the stronger I become. And not because I want to be, out of necessity. I don't have a choice. It's either get bulldozed over or survive. There's no other choice. And the reason why I'm speaking up on YouTube is I just wish more people would wake up. Do you really want to live in a world where, in a USA, where freedom doesn't exist anymore, where there's no more freedom of speech, where what if this happened, okay? What if you were thrown into a concentration camp because of a comment you made that an individual did not like? And some people might say that's kind of happening with the whole migrant ICE stuff. What if they could spy on you and throw you into a concentration camp just because you said you thought socialism was a sham? Like, the Democratic Party, I don't know what has happened to it. It is, and I still have a lot of respect for a lot of members. I worked for U.S. Capitol Police for 7 months or 9 months. I wish I'd stayed longer, but these people go through so much harassment. They are targeted. They get, some of them get called daily with threats. What they have to deal with is really, really difficult. People don't understand the harassment that they actually go through. A lot of the members, when you think, I always thought that they resigned because of like, I don't know, there was some kind of like corruption or so they did something wrong, but actually a lot of them resign because they get tired of the harassment. But anyway, where am I going with this? With my experiences working with U.S. Capitol Police briefly, and my experience having a terrorist group approach me in Austin, Texas, and if you think that's not real, there are cells in this country. And I've had several conversations with people from Afghanistan that have shared things with me. And, some of them are concerned at what could happen to this country. And they fled their country because of the Taliban. I've met and talked to several people from Afghanistan because a lot of them are, I hope it's not offensive in any way, because they're very intelligent people. Some of them had really good jobs before the Taliban took over, where they were working with the U.S. military, but there's many of them that do Lyft and Uber here outside DC. That's how I talked to many of them. And they've been really, really kind people. And they've shared a lot of stuff with me. Like, I didn't realize that part of the reason that the Taliban was able to take over was Qatar. And so I've learned a lot from these people, and I have a lot of respect for them. And I can't imagine what they've endured. I've even told some of them about how I got approached and a group tried to recruit me in Austin. And, they didn't show me any judgment. They didn't even flinch. To them, like, that's like they grew up with that kind of chaos and it was normal. Not normal, but like a vast majority of the people from Afghanistan that I've talked to up here, I believe, are patriots of the U.S. who have fled Afghanistan, and they were previously helping the U.S. government. And they're very kind people, family oriented, Anyway, It's just unfortunate what's happened to their country, but they have an awareness of this stuff that like a lot of Americans, like we're very naive. We haven't lived through that. These people know what's going on because of what they've lived through. And it also, I was very naive. I was a very sheltered little, oh, I want to be a cool little socialist, whatever. And then things got really serious. But it took something really serious to happen to really make me look into things like what the hell is going on here. So unfortunately, a lot of hipsters, they still don't understand how dangerous it could be. So imagine hipsters if they destroy our system. Oh yay, revolution. Okay, then what? Then what when you have no power for 3 weeks? People start dying. You can't, without power, you can't get water. You can't charge your phone. You can't keep food cold. I mean, people have this romantic idea of creating some kind of like revolution. But imagine what happens when people get so radical, left or right, they start killing each other and we lose power. Oh, and then you want to know what happens? The adversaries come in and take over because we've already divided ourselves to make it easy for China to take us over or whatnot. It's happening, folks. I mean, there's people, I'm not saying it's happening now, but I'm saying it's something that people actually want. It's very concerning. I know that's my dog, her squeaky toy. Sometimes she is like the only thing that keeps me going. It's been so awful. I mean, it hasn't been completely awful, but I've been dealing with insane bullying. Just the other night at 5 a.m, there was someone standing outside my door and my dog was growling for like 20 minutes. I wanted to call the cops, but I was afraid they wouldn't believe me. And I was afraid it was actually someone that lived in this building. Like, this is what I'm dealing with. I have to carry mace with me at all times. Anyway, I will leave it at that. I really want to talk about this national security stuff. And like, I don't think a lot of people believe me or believe how serious it is. But I even found a former Secret Service guy. I just started following his YouTube channel, and he said something that really stuck with me. And it was crazy because this was right before the Secret Service found out about the potential cyber attack in New York City that could have like totally disrupted UN and could have taken out cell phone usage in New York City. And that got thwarted. And this guy was like on his channel saying like, something's going to happen. Like, wake up, people. I'm not saying he knew that, but also other channels were saying that, like, maybe, and I think they had put an issue like that the intelligence community was concerned about like a potential massive cyber attack. And then what do you know, a day later, they thwarted a massive attack that could have disrupted the UN assembly. It's crazy. So I wanted to share some things with this guy, with some things I had heard, some things I had known about, and also some things I heard from Afghanistani people I've spoken with. So I looked up the business where he had for his YouTube channel, and there was a phone, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to call him. So I called him, and I left him a voicemail, and I'm like, I know this is really weird, but I just saw your video, and you said a few things that like really stood out with me. I just have some information I'd like to share with you if you have a few minutes to talk. I didn't really think he was going to call me back. He did. And we talked for maybe 20 minutes. He was very respectful, Secret Service guy, also a Marine. And I shared some tips with him. And I was like, I know if I told somebody else this, they would think I'm crazy. And he's like, nope, all of it checks out. And I was like, thank you. Thank you for believing me. So it's concerning times. I don't want to be a fear monger and constantly live in fear, but like, people need to wake up. People need to wake up. And also, I always encourage people to give me another viewpoint. Now, it's one thing to have another viewpoint and to have constructive criticism. Psychological mental abuse is another thing. It's one thing to say, I don't agree with you and I counter your views. It's another to say, you're a terrible person. you're a disgusting person and no one would ever want to be with you. So it's one thing to say, I disagree with you, here's why. It's another to say, you're a disgusting human being who would ever want to be with you. I just want to have sex with you, and then I'm going to kill myself. That's what I've had to listen to on occasion. So I welcome different points of views. I welcome people challenging me, but I do not welcome mental abuse. I will not tolerate it. I mean, I sometimes have to. I have no choice. But the thug that was standing outside my door for 20 minutes, my dog was growling, the guy was demanding to have sex with me. Nope. No, thank you. Anyway, I will leave it at that. I know this video is going to piss some people off, but like, you can only take so much. And while they try to break you, something else ends up happening. It just makes you stronger.